they stood alone, with ideas that changed everything. Brilliant minds against the world then.
Welcome to your dose of wowness. Let us do the arithmetic out loud.
1867. Born in a one-room shack on a Louisiana cotton plantation. You need to understand the dirt floor she was born onto. She's the very first child in her family born free, which is to say free in the strict legal sense, right? Born to formerly enslaved parents who owned absolutely nothing, in a post-war Delta economy that had exactly zero intention of ever giving them anything. Imagine the heavy, humid weight of the Deep South, a place engineered from the ground up to keep you tethered to the very soil your ancestors were forced to bleed on.
The arithmetic gets heavier. Both her parents are dead before she even turns 8, wiped out by the devastating yellow fever epidemics ravaging those river towns. So you're a child, completely alone in an actively hostile world. And by the time you're 14, you take the only survival route you have available. You marry a man named Moses McWilliams. Not for romance. You do it simply to escape the brutal, grinding abuse of your brother-in-law's household. 14 years old, and you're just trading one form of survival for another.
By 20, you are widowed. Widowed at 20 with a 2-year-old daughter named Eulalia to take care of. So she moves up the river to St. Louis to join her brothers. And for 17 years, she washes other people's laundry. Try to feel the physical toll of that for a second. Leaning over boiling vats of water in those sweltering Missouri summers, scrubbing with harsh, lye-based soaps that literally crack the skin on your knuckles, hauling heavy, wet garments day in, day out.
Earning exactly $1.50 a day. And on top of that brutal labor, she was going bald. The harsh chemicals, the poor diet, the immense stress, it all culminated in a severe scalp disease, leaving her hair falling out in clumps, and there was no product on Earth designed to treat it. On paper, every number in that equation points in one singular tragic direction. And then, somewhere around 1905, a woman named Sarah Breedlove had a dream. Not a metaphorical dream, a literal, vivid dream where a massive man appeared and told her exactly what ingredients to mix together. She woke up, tracked down the materials, mixed the compound, applied it to her scalp, and it worked. Her hair grew back. And then she did something with it that no woman in American history had ever done before. This is the story of Madam C.J. Walker. Let us do the rest of the arithmetic. Day 105. We have been inside a medical ward in Vienna, a wartime code-breaking facility in Buckinghamshire, a King's College laboratory in London, and a Baltimore street where a child traded bread for letters. Today, we are in a one-room shack in Louisiana, and by the end of this explainer, we are going to be standing in a mansion on the Hudson River. Subscribe now. The distance we are about to travel is the point of the whole series.
Section 1. The Washerwoman Years.
I really want you to picture the economic machine you're dropped into at birth here. You're the first generation technically free, but the sharecropping system you're operating in is ruthlessly designed to guarantee your permanent debt. You have no land, no capital, zero institutions willing to lend you a dime. You don't even own the tools you work with. The landlords control the ledger to mathematically ensure you owe them more at harvest than when you planted the seeds. It's a locked box built to extract your labor indefinitely. She was earning $1.50 a day. She was keeping her daughter in school on that. She was watching her own hair fall out and finding nothing on the market that addressed it. And somewhere in those 17 years, in the hauling and the boiling and the wringing and the carrying, she was also watching a market of millions of black women with the exact same problem and nothing in any shop window designed to solve it. She wasn't thinking about business yet. She was just thinking about her hair. But the business came later, and man, it came fast.
Section 2. The Formula and Decision.
Around 1904, Sarah began working closely with Annie Turnbow Malone. Malone was a massive pioneer in her own right, founding Poro Products and developing incredibly early hair care solutions in a direct sales model specifically for black women. Sarah actually worked as a Poro agent. Just imagine stepping out of the steam of those laundry vats and suddenly seeing the mechanics of sales, community distribution, and self-reliance right in front of you. The historical record is a bit complex on exactly when her formulas diverged from Malone's, but neither woman's historical significance diminishes the other. By 1905, Sarah packed up, relocated to Denver, formulated her own independent hair care preparations using her dreams recipe, and married a newspaper advertising salesman named Charles Joseph Walker. Which leads us to this. She called herself Madam C.J. Walker. Not Sarah, not Mrs. Walker, Madam. It was a title, a designation, a word the era reserved exclusively for women of European refinement and professional standing. She chose it deliberately, she taught her agents to hold themselves the exact same way, and she built an entire commercial empire around the uncompromising principle that black women were owed exactly as much dignity in a transaction as anyone else. The name was a policy before it was a brand.
Here's where we do a quick check-in. If you have ever heard the name Madam C.J. Walker and not known the full story, comment first time. If you already knew it and came here to make sure we got it right, comment, checking. We want to know. And stay with us, because we are about to get to the 40,000 women she put in business alongside her. And that number is the part of this story that most people never reach.
Section 3. The Walker Agent System.
Bypassing the existing economy was her absolute masterstroke. Think about it. In the early 20th century, the primary employment available to you as a black woman was domestic service, cooking or cleaning in white households for wages that mathematically maintained your economic subordination. Walker ignored that system entirely. She equipped black women with direct sales tools, a specific scalp treatment method involving heat and sulfur, and the actual physical products they needed to run their own localized businesses. They were not employees, they were independent entrepreneurs operating boldly under the Walker brand. She did not just build a company, she built an exit ramp out of domestic service for 40,000 black women who had no other exit ramp available. She gave them a product, a rigorous training program, a unified method, and a distinct business identity. Walker mandated a strict professional uniform, crisp white shirts and black long skirts. Imagine the psychological shift of walking door to door not to wash someone else's floor, but to sell a premium product in a professional uniform of your own. She paid them commissions that in many cases multiplied their previous meager incomes by a factor of 3, 4, or even 5. She built an economy inside an economy that had entirely excluded the people in it. That is not a business story, that is an infrastructure story.
To support all of this, in 1910, she moved her entire headquarters to Indianapolis, Indiana. She established a massive factory, a flagship salon, and a dedicated training school. She organized her agents into local and state clubs, and she hosted annual conventions. Really think about the gravity of this for a second. In an era where women didn't even possess the legal right to vote, Madam C.J. Walker was convening completely unprecedented national gatherings of black female economic power. She handed out significant cash prizes to her agents, and not just for the highest sales volume, but for the most substantial philanthropic contributions back to their own local communities. She was training leaders, not just salespeople.
Section 4. The Political Instrument.
Walker knew exactly what her wealth was for, so she weaponized it. She directed massive public donations to the NAACP's anti-lynching campaigns, single-handedly funding huge chunks of their legal defense efforts. In 1917, she took her financial influence straight to Washington, D.C., joining a highly publicized delegation to personally confront President Woodrow Wilson. She stood right there to demand sweeping federal anti-lynching legislation. He refused to act, but Walker made it completely clear that her money was no longer just capital. It was a political instrument designed to aggressively force structural change in America. And then she built a mansion on the Hudson River, right in the middle of one of the wealthiest white neighborhoods in New York. Imagine building an Italianate palatial estate in Irvington, New York in 1918. You hire the first licensed black architect in the state of New York, Vertner Tandy, to design it. Your neighbors, including Rockefellers and the Goulds, actively try to stop you. She built it anyway. And then she opened the massive front doors and invited in every significant voice in the movement for black civil rights in America. W.E.B. Du Bois, Langston Hughes. She knew exactly what she was doing with every single square foot of it. It was a monument to what was possible.
Section 5. A Legacy Unmatched. Madam C.J. Walker died on May 25, 1919, at Villa Lowaro, at 51 years old.
Her estate was valued at $600,000. The first free child of enslaved sharecroppers, born in a one-room shack in Louisiana, had built one of the most significant fortunes accumulated by a self-made woman in American history, and spent it with a precision that matched the precision she had applied to everything else. On education, on legal defense, on the campaign against lynching, on a building in Indianapolis that still stands, on 40,000 women who learned from her that the economy that had excluded them could be rebuilt from the inside. She did not wait for the door to open. She built a different door. Tomorrow in day 106, the arc shifts again to a man who also built something the world runs on to this day, whose name is on almost nothing that carries his current, because the man who beat him had more money and fewer scruples and knew exactly how to use both. We will see you then.